Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday morning, November the 30th. November's gone. We're pretty much officially in December now. This is episode 11 of the Monday morning briefing. First thing I want to do, I had a bunch of people that saw one of my Instagram stories, and I was placing an order with Weaver Leather, and had a bunch of people ask me what catalog this was. I think it was just open somewhere in the shot. I was just gonna let everybody know that's what it is. It's Weaver Leather. If you're new to leatherwork, you may not be familiar with these guys, but Weaver's a pretty big name. Some people like doing business with them. Some people don't order a whole lot from them. We get a lot from them. I buy a lot of hardware. I get a lot of my finishes with fibings, like the antique paste, dyes, stuff like that. I also get my Herman Oak Latigo from them as well. That's going to change here pretty quick. I'm going to start ordering that straight from the tannery just because we are going through it a little bit faster, and I want to keep more Latigo tie straps on the sales floor just for people to come in, or if somebody needs one or something like that. For the past 4 or 5 years on my tie straps for saddles and stuff, I've just cut the ones I need for those. But it usually never fails. We get some cowboys coming here, or somebody going to a roping and they just need a new tie strap, and I just end up cutting them one and making them one right there. So we're going to try to keep a few more of those in stock. But Weaver Leather, if you, I'm pretty sure you do need a tax ID for them. You need to kind of be set up as a business. I think that they do require one, but you might call them and check. But they'll send you a big catalog. They've got all kinds of stuff in here. I mean, they're a really, really big supply house. Lots of hardware, lots of nylon, stirrups, all that. Not a spokesman for Weaver. I just get a lot of stuff from them. A lot of people asked what this catalog was. You can tell it's pretty substantial. So you might give them a call and see if you can get one of those. Just have another source to get things from. But normally, you know, most of your other suppliers, the Makers Leather Supply, Springfield Leather, a lot of those folks, you know, we recommend Makers Leather Supply for most of the things that you're going to need. But if you can't find something, that's a good source just to kind of check out and order it from them. But we just made a list of all the stuff. I've got a running refill list usually of stuff that I order. I used to in the big store. Jody had actually took and made a printout sheet of all the things that we use regularly. You know, snaps, Chicago screws, just different items, supply items that you need all the time. 5/8 buckles, 3/4 inch buckles, wire loops, all those things that you don't think about till you go to get one out of the bag and you're empty, and then you're like, dang it, I can't finish this job. Now I'm going to be down 3 or 4 days waiting for that to come in. And so she made a list, just like a printout spreadsheet, and it had minimum, we agreed on minimum quantities, like how much I want to keep in stock. And then she would just refill that once a month. She would go through hardware bin and just go through there and count everything and make sure we had enough of everything so we just never ran out. And that's kind of a good way to go. Since she's left, I've lost that file, so I don't even know what that, I don't even have a hard copy of that sheet, so I just write it down. But we'll probably create another one of those just because it does make it easier if you're running a shop, you know, a full-time shop, and you've got a lot of hardware to keep track of and stuff. It never fails. It'll be the one piece of hardware that you need to finish a saddle or finish a bag or something you're doing, and you'll be out of that one item because you always have so many. You don't think about it as you're grabbing them out of there, and eventually it's gone, obviously, and you're out. So then you're going to have to rush to order some more or find somebody that's got something you can bum off of. So that's just kind of inventory management. It's a good idea to kind of get into a good routine of once a month checking your fills and then ordering to replace that. Also had a question yesterday. I was working on a wallet, and a lot of people messaged me and said, what are you making those insides? I had a picture of one of our bifold wallets, and I had made the interiors for it and was fixing to install them. And it was just kind of a shameless plug for our bifold wallet pattern pack that we have. That's on sale right now, by the way. I'll talk about that in a minute. I wanted to just kind of show you again. We've shown this before, but this is Kangaroo leather that I got from Lewis Leather Sales in Bryan, Texas. You can find them online, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. But Robert Fairchild's the one you're going to probably talk to. Larry Lewis is the one that owns it. And he's also a Herman Oak rep. So if you're wanting to get with the tannery and start ordering straight from the tannery, that's who you need to contact. If you're in Texas, I think Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, I don't know. He's got a bunch of southern states. He's the rep for this entire area. But if you want to get with a tannery and order straight from them, that's who you need to talk to. But they also sell a lot of exotics, and I've talked about them before, but we'll go ahead and mention them here again. They sell alligator skin, American alligator, caiman, elephant, ostrich, lizard, kangaroo. He sells almost, I mean, they can almost find any critter skin you want. So if there's something you're looking for, don't forget about Lewis Leather Sales. Give Robert a call over there, visit with him, and say, hey, I'm looking for this ferret leather. It doesn't matter what it is. Just ask him. If anybody knows, he'll be able to find out where you can get it if he can't get a hold of it for you. But that's where I get my kangaroo leather, and I get all my sheepskin from them. They're also a representative for Nugget Company, which makes some of the best sheep shearling for saddles, skirting, and stuff like that. I get that from them. And if you're looking for scrap sheepskin to do finish work and stuff, he doesn't really sell scraps, but he does have, I don't know if they're seconds or thirds, but anyway, they're kind of skins that aren't really good enough for me to use for lining skirts or anything, but he might sell them to guys for repair sometimes or something, but mainly he sells them to craftsmen like you that you just need one. You're going to cut a bunch of little pads out of it to do your antiquing and stuff. He does have some of those. I don't know how many he has all the time, but I know he buys some of those Kohl's or seconds and sells some, so get in contact with him. But as far as the kangaroo, that's what I've been using for all my interiors. I use the turquoise, which is these skins are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. They're blemish free, they're smooth, they're good color all the way through. They're just fantastic. I mean, you could do these rough out if you wanted the interiors more of like a nice plush suede finish. They're just beautiful skins. I think he tries to keep them in stock all the time. He was out of the brown when I ordered these, so I just got black and turquoise. But I ended up doing black interiors on a two-tone brown wallet, and it turned out really cool looking. I really, really liked it. I wouldn't have done that if I had the brown, but I'm glad I didn't have the brown because the black turned out really, really cool. But if you're wanting some skins of kangaroo to do your interiors, I'm telling you, this will make your interiors much more professional looking. Your wallet won't be so big and bulky. I attempted to make them out of some 2-3 Herman oak that I had that's probably a little bit on the heavy side of 2-3. And so that's the problem, is if I'd have used that, even that wallet pattern that I created for that bifold, even that with the key pockets in there, it was still going to be too big and bulky. And so I didn't want to do that. So we went ahead and just opted to use this black kangaroo. And I'm not going to use anything else for interiors unless like on a flip wallet or a money clip wallet. I will use the 2-3 ounce because there's only 2 pockets in there. It's easy. It doesn't make them too bulky. But if you're doing a bifold or a roper wallet or something like that, I highly recommend switching over to kangaroo liners and inside parts. I would use nothing but kangaroo, in my opinion. But that's where you can get it. Lewis Leather Sales, Bryan, Texas. I'm not sponsored by either Weaver or these guys. These guys are just guys that I use, and you people asked me a lot of questions on the DMs on Instagram, and I was actually trying to keep up with some of those this weekend, so I thought I'd pass that information along. Check them out. Lewis does have a website, and Weaver obviously does too. Now, real quick, we are running a sale. I'm sure you saw it on social media if you're following us on Instagram or Facebook. But we're running we started a Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. So it's been running since Friday morning. I meant for that to kind of launch Friday at midnight or, 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. But I had family and it was Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving at home with your family. Hope you had a few family come in. We had a good time. We had some family come in and we did the whole typical Thanksgiving thing and hung out and stuff. And then Friday I was in here early as I could be Friday morning. Kind of figured out we kind of had an idea on what we were going to put on sale and stuff, and so we launched that. It's pretty simple this year. What I did was all the YouTube companion packs, and this runs till midnight tonight. So be sure and get in there if you're interested in getting some pattern packs that you've been looking at, but you haven't had a chance to or whatever. Now's the time to do it. All the YouTube companion packs are 50% off. So if it's a $20 pack, it's $10. And then we did also all of our belt pattern packs. Now listen, on the belt pattern packs, what I'm going to do, not right now, I don't have time, but first of the year, we're going to go through, we're going to update all those patterns. And I think it's going to work okay. I'm talking to my web guy and all these other updates and things that he's doing that's going to be cool for you guys. But one of the things that I want to do is go through and update those PDF files to where there's maybe a little bit more information in there. We've created a belt worksheet. Some of y'all may or may not have seen yet, but it's just a simple page, but it talks about the sizing of a belt. All this information is in blog posts that we've done and in videos that we've done on how to measure and how to cut your belt blank for a person's size. But I made a little worksheet that's just kind of all-inclusive. It's got everything on there. So I want to add that little file to them, and then I want to update some of them. Some of them aren't as good a quality as the patterns that we're creating now. And we do get a few complaints here and there on the quality of the image that's on there for transferring. But let's be honest, the lines are there. That's really all you need is the lines, the line art for the floral, and the rest of it's all up to you. So we're not tooling this thing for you. But but I want the images good, and our newer patterns are way better. We've got a little bit better technology and software now to create these patterns, and so I want to go back on those and update those. So, but those also on the website with this sale, all of the belt patterns that are on there, just the when you go to the belt section of the pattern packs that are for sale, the belt ones are half price, also 50% off, and almost every one of those, I think every one of those, there's usually 3 to 4 belt different patterns on one page. So when you print this pattern pack out, it's just one page, one sheet of paper, but there's 3 or 4 belt patterns on there. Each one of those is a different pattern that you just put end to end. They're all $5, so half off. They're $2.50 right now. So you can get all of them for, price of a case of beer or something, so you can get those pretty easy. And the other part of the sale is that we put our How to Draw Leather Floral Design Pattern course that we have on the DG Leather Academy. We did that over 50% off. Did it over because who wants to buy something for $62.50? I just put it at $60. The course is regularly $125. It's always been $125. I think the lowest I've ever sold it for was $90, and so now it's $60 until tonight at midnight. And take advantage of that if you've been wanting to take that course. If you want to learn how to draw patterns, that way you can draw your own stuff for your own projects without having to try to find a pattern that might fit or something. That's a great course to get started. It's a paper and pencil class. It's not something that we're going to do a lot of tooling talk on there or anything like that. It's mainly just getting the structural design and framework drawn so that you can begin to understand how that's done. And then you can go from there and begin to practice, and begin to draw your own patterns. I think that course, along with tracing some of our patterns that we draw, I think doing those together is going to help you to begin to build your toolbox of being able to come up with your own style over time. It's going to take time. You're not going to do it just like that. It's going to take some practice and all that, but it's going to give you the fundamentals of being able to do that. So if you're interested in that course, been wanting to take it, it's been a little pricey, hadn't wanted to kind of commit to it. Once you get it, you've got access to it. You can go through it as many times as you want. You can do it, do the first section, then the last section, and bounce around, whatever you want to do. But you can go in there. There's over 5 hours of footage in that course, a lot of resources and materials, and you get the ebook for free. So you can certainly download and print that for your resources if you want to. But it's a great course. It's $60, super cheap right now. Go ahead and check that out. All this information is on the homepage of our website at dgsaddlery.com. So check that out. And if you're part of the Leathercraft newsletter, you got a little something extra as well. And that's just something we do as a hat tip to you guys that signed up for our Leathercraft newsletter. We always appreciate that. Appreciate y'all being a part of that inside community. We want you to benefit from it. And I want to thank all of y'all who have already participated in our sale this weekend and taken advantage of those savings and stuff. I can't thank you enough. It's overwhelming the amount of response that we're getting to a lot of the content that we're creating, the videos, this Monday morning briefing video, as well as the new podcast and stuff. It's just phenomenal. I can't thank you guys enough. Y'all are really blowing me away with the support for DG Leathercraft this year and going into 2021, and we can't be more excited and more appreciative. And so we've got a lot of stuff coming that's going to be really cool for next year, and we'll keep growing this thing and keep going with it and see where it goes. Speaking of the podcast, last week's episode was Scott Catalina with Catalina Hatters there in Bryan. That's the hat shop that I've used for the last 21 years being up in Bryan, and we're proud to be associated with them. They're good guys. They build a good hat. They've got a fantastic business, and so we really wanted to sit down. Plus, Scott and I are really good friends. Him and I and Scott Summerlot have done quite a bit of promotional stuff together. Anytime we're doing some kind of giveaway or something like that, we try to involve them, and they do as well. But it was a fun interview. It was fun to sit down, and I hadn't really ever dived into the hat making process with him as much as we did on that episode, so it was very interesting to me. And I think you'll find it just as interesting. So check it out, Lost Trade Podcast. You can watch it. You can listen to it. You can't watch it, but you can listen to it on Apple, Spotify. And somebody emailed me and said they found it on Google Podcast or something. So that's cool. I didn't do that. I don't know how it's on there, but that's awesome. I'm still not really sure how podcasts work, or I understand it, but I think like on iHeart, we have to be published for a month or something before we can send it to iHeart, or maybe iHeart just starts pulling it in. I'm not really sure how that works. But if you find it somewhere else or you're listening to it on another platform, let me know, because the podcast deal is completely different than like our YouTube videos. Sometimes it's kind of hard to track. They go mainly off of downloads and not subscribers, because people are subscribed on different platforms. So if you're seeing it somewhere else or listening to it somewhere else, shoot us an email and let us know that, just so I kind of know where all that's out there. I can kind of see on my analytics some of the things I don't know what they are. So we mainly just watch Spotify and Apple, Apple being the biggest one, obviously. But it's going good. Episode was good. Got a good response from it. So we'll work on this week's episode and get that out to you this week as well. I worked all weekend in here, just kind of working on a lot of the small stuff. We got a lot of orders for some scabbards and knife sheaths and wallets and stuff. I usually don't take a lot of those during Christmas time just because we're usually full on belts by now. But coming in before the election, we didn't have quite as many belt orders that were for Christmas. And so I thought, well, we'll take some knife sheaths and wallets. That's not a big deal, because I wasn't sure kind of what people were going to be wanting this year. Never do. But then once the election was over, the belts started rolling in. So our books are officially closed now. We don't have any openings per se as far as for new orders. We've got plenty to build, but I needed to get all the little stuff out of the way. So we've got a bunch of knife sheaths wrapped up, ready to sew. I got a bunch of them that are buck stitched, and the wallets are done. I've got a shave kit to put together, another one to tool. And so we're just kind of doing that. We are doing the batching, like we talked about in the last episode. That's what I did this weekend. I kind of tooled 6 or 8 knife sheaths and the wallets. I tooled all those, dyed all those, did all that, and then put them all together at one time. It just works a lot more efficiently. So be sure and try that out in your shop. Let me get some coffee, and I'm going to show you a new rack we put up. All right, so I've shown you all these racks before. That's what I've got my leather stored on over here, and our trees on top and that kind of thing. But I bought these at Lowe's. I think I've mentioned it before. I'm not sure if they're still selling them, but they're fantastic. You don't need any tools. You don't need any kind of fittings or anything. They just kind of clip together. There's little deals in there that just kind of clip together. You can set these shelves at whatever height you want. But I had an extra one in the back, so I set it up here for Christmas. I don't know if it'll stay here. It seems like it's kind of out of the way, but we'll just have to leave it here for now. But basically what I needed a place to put some finished stuff we need to tool, stuff we need to paint, and so I'm starting a little system here. That's what we used to do in the big shop. Was there was one shelf that was to sew, things to sew, and so not everybody was able to sew on the sewing machines or the stitchers in the shop, and so some of them guys would get stuff prepped, glued together, hardware in or whatever, and then set it on that to sew shelf. And me or Calvin or Jim or somebody, if we walked by and saw something on there, we were going to go to the sewing machine and sew anyway, we could grab that breast collar or that belt or whatever it might have been and just sew it up for whoever's project it was. And that way whenever they get a chance, it's sewn, they can slick the edges and do all that. And so I'm kind of doing that again here. Like I said, it's just me and Claudia, so it's not that big of a deal now, but at least it's a way to kind of break stuff up so I can visually see what's next. So I can visually see that these little projects haven't been tooled yet, so I know that I need to tool those before I get camped out on something big, so that then maybe Claudia can dye them or do whatever. And that all these items down here, they're pretty well done. They just need to be a kind of a little final inspection, which is what I try to do anytime I box something up, is just look at it, make sure the paint looks good, make sure the edges look good, before we box it up, instead of just shoving it in a box and sending it out. That's kind of a good way to check, is just kind of leave it out there, and that way you can remember to check on that. But we got a bunch of belts done, but we're not running out of space. We're just a little bit disorganized, which we're going to have to kind of deal with until after Christmas. And then I plan on building some shelving or something for our leather storage, because it's getting a little unruly back there, and we've got more leather coming this week. It's kind of getting cumbersome when you start cutting a bunch of leather and a bunch of parts and stuff like that. But as soon as we get the warehouse lights fixed, there'll be shelving out there as well. And it's not climate controlled, so I kind of worry about that just a little bit. So it won't be a whole lot back there, but we'll make it work. All our knife sheaths. I did this one here. I thought this one turned out pretty cool. Anybody wants to try that? The customer wanted a rivet right there, and I thought, well, that's going to look funny because I'm going to have to come out further. And so then we talked about maybe double row stitching it just to make it last a little longer. So I went ahead and did 2 rows, spaced out the spacing of that rivet, and it made a really neat little sheath. And so that's off our knife sheath pattern pack. So again, on sale if you want to grab it. You can just add 2 rows there and make that border a little wider, and I thought that made a really, really nice looking knife sheath. I may do a bunch of those for sale, but I've got to do this one, and then this one's for a belt that I did for him. So I'll do this one the same way. But you can see all of these, how I did them. They're already riveted, they're tooled, they're dyed, they're already riveted. Now they're folded over and glued. These are going to be buck stitched, so I'll trim those and go from there. This one will be stitched, but they're all in the same stage. And then both of these wallets. Here's that wallet here with the Kangaroo liner in there, and I mean, it's just makes an amazing little wallet. And it's super thin. It's not real thick. And so that's a piece of, I think that's 4 to 5 ounce. I may have went a little bit lighter on that outside. It may be 5-6 ounce, but it felt a little bit lighter. And then that Kangaroo, and that Kangaroo is probably 1 to 2 ounce. It's very, very thin, very nice, very strong though. It'll wear very well. It's not, flanky and stretchy. Kangaroo is an amazing material. But then here on our little money clip wallets like we do, we just did those with normal veg on the inside. And they work out great. Always have, always will. It's a fantastic little wallet, awesome little seller. But we got those done. I got a few other ones to do that I haven't tooled yet, so we've got to get on that this morning. Hey, real quick too, Robert at Lewis Leather Sales, not to keep plugging them, but they're great guys. I get a lot of stuff from them, so just trying to help you guys out. If you're looking for stuff, especially right now, this time of year, man, if you're in Texas ordering something from Ohio or somewhere else, it's going to take 3 or 4 days. That can put you behind. So at least Roberts and Bryan, if you're in Texas somewhere and you need something in a day, UPS ground's 1 day usually for the most of Texas. So if you call Robert and he's got it, he can get it to you next day without having to pay next day shipping. Just kind of something to keep in mind if you get in a pinch and didn't order enough material. But real quick, I didn't know he had Kangaroo lace. I needed some. That was kind of one of the deals. I ran out. I didn't know the girl wanted brown Kangaroo lace for the buck stitching on a belt about a week or so ago. So I called Robert. He had it. He was out of the 1/8 inch in the brown, but he got 1/4 inch. So I just got the 1/4 inch, used my Hansen splitter over there, and I just pulled it down to 1/8 inch, or split it into 1/8 inch. So very nice material. This stuff is super, super nice, super clean. I didn't find but maybe one splice and a big old huge long piece I pulled off. And but I went ahead and got some black from him and some natural. I'm assuming the natural you can dye it. That's why I got it, because I thought in a pinch I could at least dye it if I needed a certain color, or maybe I just want to dye it and play with it and see what kind of color I can get. But I did get some natural. I don't know how many colors he carries usually, so you might just call him and check. But like I said, in a pinch, if you need brown, black, natural, I know he's got that. Outside of that, I get the rest of my Kangaroo lace from Springfield Leather. And they have tons of colors. And so if you need some of those, just look up on their website or in their catalog or give them a call. They've got a big selection of color when it comes to Kangaroo, and it's a very good product. I've used it for a long time. And the only reason I didn't get the brown from this time was because I needed it the next day, because the belt had to ship the following day. I was hoping he had it, and he's right there in Bryan, so it worked out perfect. But for me to order from Springfield, it takes, I think it takes 3 days, something like that. They're not that far from us, but it's got to go to Canada and then back over to Italy and then back down to us. It's not a direct route. There's no way to get here from there. There's our weekly snowman update. 25 days till Christmas. Tomorrow's the 1st. That makes sense. I did the math right. 25 days. It's on the 25th every year. So we got 25 days. That means you've got, I would probably safely say, 20 days till your last ship date. I try to leave 4 or 5 days there, depending on where you're shipping to. But that's what we usually focus on whenever we're working on Christmas orders, is we do all our ships first, like what's got to ship. With me, everything pretty much has to ship. I have usually very little local pickup, and if it is, bless their heart, they got to pick it up Christmas Eve, because I'm going to work on everybody's that I got to ship to first. That's what I would recommend. Do all those early. Get those out early so you got plenty of time. Something gets lost, you can track it. Plus, UPS and FedEx and Lord knows the Postal Service, they're going to run behind. They're going to get overloaded because it's Christmas, and especially this year with the COVID thing and the lockdown and all that, they're saying that the shipping is going to be out of this world. It's going to be unreal. So there's a very good chance that something can get lost. Again, that's not really your fault, but if you ship it 2 days before Christmas, you're kind of pushing your luck. And so if it gets lost, yeah, it's their fault, but it's also kind of your fault because you should have shipped it a week earlier. So we've had plenty of that. I do plenty of that. I'll probably do that this year too, but I try not to. And I know that every time I do it, it just makes me want to punch myself, because if I'd have done it earlier, I would have had time to find it and track it down and do all that. So it's tough, but if you can, start now, focus on those ships, get those out early. I want to thank everybody that signed up for the Leathercraft newsletter. If you did, you're benefiting this weekend from that. If you didn't, no big deal. You're still getting a great deal, but you might want to look into it. Leathercraft newsletter. We don't send out a whole lot of stuff, but whenever we try to send new things out and other things to them first, and kind of give them first access to it before we go live on social media and stuff like that. And there was something last week that we launched that they got benefited of, and it sold out in 2 hours. And I want to thank you guys so much for that. Everybody that ordered that particular product, if you know what I'm talking about, then thank you very much. If you and I spoke about that and via email or phone, and I wrote down your shipping address and got that all the information, then you're good, because I sent out something later that said that we were sold out, but that was because of y'all. That wasn't that I'm sold out on y'all. Like, y'all bought them all. That's why, because I was still getting so many calls and emails of people wanting to order that product, and I had to tell them that. So instead of answering it over and over, I thought, well, let's just send something out and let everybody know it's sold out. But if we talked, we've got you down. Some of y'all may be receiving that today or tomorrow, because we shipped out a bunch of them on Friday. But some of y'all, we still got to package some of them up and get those out today. But you will see them coming, and don't worry. If we talked, we've got your order taken care of, and we've got more coming this week, and so that will hopefully go live and be on the website. Got a lot of stuff happening with the website. It's not that the website's going to change that much, but we're trying to get a better handle on the shipping and stuff. And for my international folks, we are working on trying to figure out how to do the international shipping. I've got one gentleman in Italy that is dying to have a cap. And so as soon as I figure that out, we're gonna get it to where we can do that. But as of right now, we're only shipping in the U.S., and I apologize for that. We're trying to get it figured out on the website and get all that stuff done. So those are some of the bigger updates, and that's going to allow us to expand our product line and some different resources and things that I think are going to help you guys a lot, as far as from hobbyists to master craftsmen all across the board, to be able to create cool products with good resources and stuff like that. So, but I want to thank y'all. I've got to get back to work. We've got a lot going on today and this morning. Claudia's fixing to come in here, and she's going to be really upset if I'm not already tooling. So I got to get after it. We'll see y'all next week.